legislature forcing yet another extender, while the topic of auto insurance proving to be one of the major sticking points. Plus, do we tax or not tax the rich? That's the question being debated at the Capitol. Why this debate is more energized now, more than ever, and how it's tied to the budget deficit down in New York City. Hello, and welcome to Empire State Weekly. I'm John Gray in Albany. A state budget now 12 days late. State leaders passing another budget extender, as they're called, funding the state through April 14th. It marks a second one-week extender in a row now for lawmakers, as legislators and the governor continue on their negotiations on this budget. As they were passing the extender earlier this week, state employees narrowly avoided missing their paychecks or having them come late. This was due to the state law restricting the state controller from distributing paychecks during the new fiscal year until the governor signs a final budget or an extender. One of the major sticking points holding up this budget is the differences and stances on cracking down on or reforming the state's car insurance policies. This is due to New York having some of the highest insurance rates in the whole country. The governor wants to lower car insurance rates by cracking down on what she called stage accidents or criminal enterprises and recover damages only if the injured driver is not at fault. She also wants to narrow the definition of what's called a serious injury to what they call the 90-80 rule, whereas if you can't do any activities for 90 days after the accident, you can potentially qualify for more damages. She went on to New York State's liability laws. She says they are out of sync with the rest of the country. Meanwhile, in the legislature, some have come out against the governor's proposal. Democratic Assembly member Jen Lunsford arguing that the governor's plan sacrifices the rights of injured New Yorkers to save insurers some money. She, along with the Democratic Senator April Baskin, have proposed a bill to target what they call the root cause of the premium spikes.
A bill that not only addresses the underwriting parameters someone can use to set insurance rates, but also ask for a little sunshine, transparency, so we can take a look at what insurance companies are basing their rates on. Are there historical factors that are going back years? Say, I'm from Monroe County. Are we still looking at the Kia Kid summer when we're considering our auto theft rates?
For more now, why the auto insurance debate has become so contentious and why they oppose the governor's proposal, we want to talk to Andrew Finkelstein, the president of the New York State Trial Lawyers Association. Andrew, we know you're on the road for kind of a speech or conference, so we appreciate you making time for this interview today. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. This is very important. I'll always take the time.
Every few years it seems like they want to take a whack at what's happening with lawsuits, and now it seems like it's tied to the auto industry. Talk about what you're concerned about with the changes that they might want to make here.
Well, what's going on is it's being framed as helping affordability for New Yorkers, but it's doing anything but helping affordability for New Yorkers. It's only increasing the profits for insurance companies. That's really all these measures are doing. There's no direct correlation of anything that's being proposed that connects to reducing insurance car premiums, but there is a direct connection to taking away New Yorkers' rights, and we're standing up against that because it's wrong.
They want to limit awards, correct? In certain cases, walk me through a little bit of what concerns you with that.
Well, it's not so much limiting awards as what they're asking. What they're asking is to take away the rights entirely. What the governor, frankly, when I said I don't want to refer to it as a they, it's the governor who's promoting this, and only the governor who's promoting this. And what she is attempting to do is take away New Yorkers' rights and access to a full and fair recovery. So one thing that she's tried to do is, in New York, in order to qualify for money damages for what you've gone through, not everybody in a car crash qualifies for money damages. Only people who suffer a serious injury, a qualifying injury. And there's 9 clearly defined definitions, and what the governor wants to do is simply extinguish one of them and make it 8. And all that does is take away the rights of New Yorkers, and it's not right.
Do you believe if she gets her wish that rates will not go down, that they won't look at this, or do you think the insurance company will say thank you very much, put that in their pocket, and next year when someone goes to Allstate or Geico, wherever, to get their insurance, they can say, hey, I thought it was going to go down, and it doesn't?
Well, I'm a practical person. I live in the real world, not in a fantasy world. And in my experience, without any correlation between the changes in the law and a directive for insurance companies to return premiums or lower premiums, it's not going to happen. Insurance companies are profit-making machines. That's what they're in the business of doing, of keeping people's premiums, increasing premiums, and reducing payouts. That's their business. And unless they're instructed to do otherwise, they will not return premiums. It hasn't happened. So what is the governor putting forth? She's putting forth a proposal that simply reduces individuals' rights to recover. And what is the net effect of that? Insurance companies' profits go up, because now they've taken premiums and do not have to pay out claims. And the governor is saying, no, you don't have to pay out claims, and you don't have to do anything about it.
She's going to argue that this cuts down on frivolous lawsuits. You're not going to argue that there's no frivolous lawsuits, but do you feel, as a trial lawyer, ahead of that it gets blown out of proportion, in terms of, yes, of course, there's some of those, but the vast majority are legitimate claims?
Well, look, in any system where money is the end result, there is some element of bad actors. And we are totally opposed to fraud, totally opposed to any of these staged accidents. But the relationship to the totality of meritorious claims, it is like one grain of sand on a huge beach. There just is not an overwhelming effect that affects premiums. And I rely on the Department of Financial Services. When they received 39,000 complaints of suspicious fraud, all filed, by the way, by insurance companies, and they investigated, they only found around 200. And out of the tens of thousands of meritorious cases, that's next to nothing.
We've only got a minute or so left, but what's driving this? Because I think I'm a student of politics in Albany and beyond, and this one seemed to come out of a left field a little bit. I know once in a while it gets discussed in Albany, going after frivolous lawsuits and lawyers and insurance companies and all that good stuff, but this one, the governor really wants this. Do you know what's driving this?
Well, I would call it policy or pocketbook, the two P's. Is it good policy, or is it to benefit a campaign's pocketbook? And what we've seen is that the governor's pocketbook, her campaign pocketbook, has inflated to numbers she's never seen before, because she's getting direct contributions from Uber to the tune of $8 million and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands, actually, of monies from insurance companies. And that's, in my estimation, why this is going on. It comes out of nowhere because Uber is pushing it.
Do you think it's got a prayer of getting through, or are the lawmakers saying, maybe not? Because it seems like it's holding up the budget right now, among other issues.
Well, the lawmakers, we represent the same constituents that the lawmakers represent, their constituency, and the lawmakers can read right through this and see that all this is a bad deal for their constituents, bad deal for New Yorkers, and only a good deal for insurance companies. It does nothing for affordability, so the legislators have balked at it, rightfully so, and we hope they stay firm.
All right, we appreciate you coming on. Andrew Finkelstein, president of the Trial Lawyers Association for the state. Thank you for being here today. We do appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All right, as the debate continues.